Super Soul Sunday. I am so thankful to come your way again. It's been a busy weekend for me, but you know what? Because I love what I do, I would do it a million times tonight or this evening, this afternoon, wherever you find yourself. I'm thankful you're going to join us. I have two amazing gentlemen who are doing brilliant in what they do, and I'm so grateful that they made time to join me and share your wisdom with me. So, without much ado, I will ask Basco, please introduce yourself.
Hi, Nana. Hi, thanks for having me. Let me first of all seize this opportunity to um, acknowledge your viewers across the world. My name is Basco Nsobila Abor. I'm a father, a husband, a Christian, a Ghanaian from the northern part of Ghana. To be precise, I'm Fafra. Uh, if I'm to say it in our tongue, it's Fafare. Yes, I my day job, I'm IT professional. But aside IT, I've got other side hustles, and that's about me. That's in essence.
Fantastic. I like that. You're Ghanaian and you're from the north. So you're going to be taking me to the north. And
Absolutely.
I could see that you're so proud and from that. As we go, and I'll tell you where I know we grew up together. So it's going to be fun today on the show. Thank
It
you
will
so
be.
much for coming, and shout out to your family. Kwame, tell us who you are.
Thank you, Nana, for this great opportunity. As always, when you get this amazing opportunity, you actually put me on to also share my views with your amazing viewers every Sunday. My name is Kwame Osei Owusu. I'm a final year student studying pharmacy. I'm also Ghanaian, but I reside in London currently. But I'm actually schooling in Kent. So as we're speaking, I'm speaking from uni. So thank you for this amazing opportunity this evening.
Thank you. So, Kwame, and I also want you to check your echoes again for me. Kwame is a pharmacy student, as he said, and I've mentored Kwame for a long time. And you know the brilliancy of social media. He reached out to me about what many years ago, and now he's like my younger brother, and I've gotten to meet his family, and it's amazing. So Kwame, thank you for allowing me to and my family to be in your life. And he didn't say a lot. He's a very very intelligent young man. He's been an MP for the youth in parliament before. He skipped that. He advocated for mental health. So, and that's a lot of motivational speaking. So thank you, gentlemen. Today, as I said, we're talking about fatherhood. And this June, I know the next week or in 2 weeks' time, we'll be celebrating Father's Day. But there are a lot of youngsters, there are a lot of homes that have fathers missing. And when I was doing my research with a report that was done in 2020, ethnic groups monitored and with fatherlessness is the percentage was amazing. They had 24% to be the black community, 19% to be mixed, 10% to be white, and 8% to be Asians. And I said to myself, oh, wow, what is happening? And I say there is a pandemic. This pandemic has been in existence for a long time, but it's like it comes up and then we don't talk about it. It comes up and we don't talk about it. So this June, the whole of June, and as the conversation continues, we will continue. We want our fathers to take action. We want our fathers to be included in what we are doing. Yes, you would say, well, there are those whose fathers have departed. those, and then the fathers who've gone because of separation or divorce, and then fathers who are also being abusers, so they've been kicked out, and fathers who with no reason have been kicked out. And because when I put this out, a lot of fathers are reaching out to me. So as I said, as we go along, but today is about the two of you. Bosco, tell me, growing up in Ghana, in Tema community too, to be precise, how was your relationship with your father?
I had an amazing relationship with my dad. I like to say, for what I am today, for what my siblings are today, is as a result of the grace of God and an amazing father we have. He taught us lots of things growing up. If I can talk a little bit about my father. So my father was born in the north, Kayonga to be precise. His dad passed away when he was young. So he never had the opportunity in attending formal education. But then during his teens, he moved down to south, to Tema to be precise, and started doing all sorts of laboring jobs. So he was a watchman for Ghana Commercial Bank for many years. He worked for Tema District Council for many years. But as he was working as a laborer, he said one of the things that caught his attention was the fact that whenever young people who are educated joined Ghana Commercial Bank, they were given house loan, they were given car loans. My dad could have taken this because he had worked for Ghana Commercial Bank for a long time and wasn't qualified for such benefits. He could have taken it the wrong way, but that actually changed his mindset of what education is all about. So my dad's vision was, if I never had the opportunity to attend formal education, I will ensure that my kids, attend formal education. So though my dad was working as a laborer, and my dad had 11 of us.
11?
11 of us.
He was a strong man.
And not only the 11, we had cousins and family relations that lived with us, and they looked after all of them. Not a single one of us was ever sent home for not paying school fees.
Wow.
He said, if he could, he said the money he would spend to buy a pair of shoes, he would spend that money in the education of his children. So I'm eternally grateful to my dad for, who I am today, for if he had not done what he did. Not only that, he instilled in us, of our identity, where we're from, who we are, and the fact that the environment we were in, there were lots of opportunities that we should grab. But as we go along, I'd like to, talk a bit more about him. But
Fantastic.
I see my dad to be, a visionary. He's indeed a great role model.
Fantastic. So your dad was a great model. Brilliant. Kwame, I know for you it was your granddad, but tell me a little bit, a little memory, if you want to, and you agree that you want to, about your dad.
Sorry, can you get the question again? I actually,
tell me about, I know that it was your grandfather who brought you up, but
yes.
then there was a father in passing. So tell us a little bit about him and how granddad came about.
With me personally, didn't have that opportunity as many children will actually, or every child will actually have for growing up to actually be with their dad. There were some issues that actually um, couldn't actually make it happen. So I was actually basically raised by my mom and with the support of my granddad, because my mom also, due to business reasons, she also left the shores of Ghana to actually come abroad to actually build the business and everything. So it actually gave me the opportunity to be with my granddad. So he became the father figure in my life till he passed away, which still his words and his memories also still guide me until I left Ghana to actually join my family over here as well. So his his words and his physical presence actually enlightened me, and it actually guided me in every sphere of life, be it my Christian life, be it my studies, be it my social life, be it who I want to become in life. Because as young as I was, he never actually covered anything from me. He always exposed to me and made me think like an adult when I was young. He made sure that it's not too late, or I'm not too young to start dressing appropriately, because he actually picked up on it that for me to be able to stand out among my peers, I have to make sure I know how to dress properly. I know how to behave. So discipline was a hallmark in the family, not only for myself, but also for my other siblings as well. And also, one of the opportunities that I got was because my name actually was in resemblance, my first name was in resemblance of his first son. And also, he couldn't have the time with his first son because his first son actually traveled very early. He took me as a son, and he made sure that every value that he has in him, he will make sure that he actually unleash them on me. So growing up, I didn't understand why all these were going on, because as a young guy, I just wanted to be free. I just wanted to play about. I just wanted to be a child and play. But he actually saw the bigger picture that, you are a child, you can play, but I cannot let you go wayward. Henceforth, he has to start it on me as soon as possible, as um, time might not be on our side. So he knew what he was doing. And when I left the shores of Ghana, it all made sense. It all actually made sense because he's not physically there to tell me what to do at each particular point in time. But the words and the vision he put in me, and the trust and the belief, because there were so many stuff that he said at the last conversation we had before I left the country. I remember that was around, I think, August 2010. I had finished my basic education in Ghana, which I've written the exam. I've received my results, and I was still with the idea that I want to stay in Ghana because I believe that's where my foundation lies. But he saw the vision that no, it's time for you to go. You have to leave, you know. So he understood it, and some of the words he said to me during that last moment, thankfully, it has all come to pass. It has all come into existence, So it made me casting my eyes back, or me having a reminisce of those times. It actually gave me, or it actually reassures me that he knew what he was talking. He knew what he knew about me that I didn't know of, that God showed about me. So that kind of discipline and that kind of guidance he gave me when I was young all became a fruition, and I'm actually experiencing all the fruit of that labor that he put in me. And wherever
Fantastic.
he is, yeah, I know that he's part of me wherever he is. May so rest in peace.
Oh, wow, it's amazing. So if you've joined us, I'm talking to these two amazing gentlemen, Basco, Abor, and Kwame Osei, for we're talking about the theme and note to a dad, the impact our dads have had on us. My dad, oh, if I have to tell you about my dad, I think I should write a book one of these days about my dad. And I am so thankful he raised myself and my brother. And one thing that I would say is he instilled God in us, the fear of God in us, the word of God in us. One of the Bible quotations that he every day he made sure that he held our hands and we shared with Psalm 1 to 1 when I lift up my eyes onto the hills. So that I am so grateful. He was very strict, like the way Kwame is saying, when we were all growing up, our parents were strict, our fathers were super strict, and we thought they were abusing as well. In that part of the world, we wouldn't say Basco, we wouldn't say it was abuse, but
Not
we've
at all.
all grown up to be some people of affluence in society. So he's also passed on. My proud dad, Mr. Henry Akwesi Ajiwan Prempe. I am so grateful that he brought me into this world. So let's travel back to Tema. Basco and I, we it's so funny. We grew up. Basco happens to be my younger brother in a way, because you were mates with my younger brother, so you used to come home. But we were all hustling, isn't it? We were hustlers.
No,
Community
he was
too.
actually my senior.
He was your senior. Oh, okay.
Yes, he
So
was
how
my
come you were
senior.
friends
Yeah,
then? How come
1
we
year.
were coming in the house? You were coming to sell. You were coming to sell some jeans.
That's right.
So,
That's right.
but where we grew up, I mean, where we used to play, where we lived in Tema community too, BBC to be precise. Why was it called BBC, by the way? I need to go back and find out. Do you know why it was called BBC?
I th- I could be wrong, but I think the little research I did was that I think it was named after the developers at the time.
Okay.
I
Okay.
think Elang, from what I'm told, Elang was also named after the developers at the time, but I could be
Okay.
completely wrong. That's the little I know.
Okay. So, that area, the moment you said you were from, so shout out to all the Tema guys and ladies, and shout out to all Tema people, and shout out to the BBC people. The moment you told somebody you were from BBC, the look was different, because they thought that the BBC children were very bad. A lot of people were smoking weed, or the how would I say, the junkie, should I use the word junkie? Well, a lot of the disadvantaged children were placed in BBC, and then when you came to Community 5 and Community 6, where the affluent, like the bars and the rich people.
Absolutely.
But you and I came from them. Look at us today. So tell me what that instilled in you so much that you said, hey, whether I come from BBC or not, I am going to make it.
Wow. Yeah. Nana, just like you mentioned, where we grew up, the stigma at the time was, I was labeled a ghetto.
Oh, okay.
Uh,
I forgot that one. I forgot that.
it was labeled a ghetto. We didn't have many role models around. We saw young men who were wasting their lives away by indulging in smoking of weed, indulging themselves in hard liquor like appetition and all of
Reputation
that.
is vodka. Say vodka so that they come.
Okay, vodka, yeah, all of that. So it was rough. It was a rough area. Um, Especially the boys were out, will fight. Someone was always uh, looking to get you for not saying something right, and all of that. But I think what though my dad played a pivotal role in me turning the way um, I am today. But I'm going to quote my dad, because whenever I phone him to express my appreciation, the common expression of him is that, son, it's not me, it is God. Son, it is not me, it is God. Look at the area you all grew up, others even had better opportunities than you did. But look at you guys today. So, yes, the number one influence in my personal life is when I accepted Jesus Christ. But coming back to what my dad did, physically, was that we never lacked, though we were not from affluence, but we never lacked in terms of, our education. Since I've known my dad, which isn't common in Ghana or Africa, my dad worked day and night, Nana. My dad worked day and night. So in the night, he will be out doing watchman. Daytime, he will be doing laboring job.
Wow.
So he could fend for all of us, so we could have the education he wanted us to have. As my dad was paying for 2 extra tuition for us. So there was one after school, there was one I attended in the afternoon, and then there was one I attended in the evening. Though he could only afford state school, we're not privileged to attend, private school. Private
my
school.
parents and SOS.
To my parents, SOS, you name them.
Yeah.
We were not fortunate, but he could only afford state school, and he did that to his very best. Food was not an issue at home. Again, we were not from affluence, but also we were not poor. He made sure that we looked clean, going to school. He was there for us. I think for me to be able to even articulate, it was something I learned from my dad, because whenever there was any crisis at home, he'll call a family meeting, and then in the northern setting, where he will appoint his spokesperson, and then will direct his message to the spokesperson to be delivered to the family. There was a lot of things we did. Now, I'm not sure if you're aware, but I'm also a farmer, because he made us farm in Tema. We were farming during rainy season. We had a sheep. We were taking the sheep out to graze. So I'm also a shepherd boy. Our moms. So we had 2 moms. Our moms were traders. We were always out selling stuff. So all these training, he made us to realize, you've got to work for whatever you wanted in life, and I think that's shaping me to be who I am today.
Fantastic, brilliant. So when you said farming, I was like, my brother and myself, we also used to, well, our one was rabbits. You remember we had the rabbits then. So
I had
early
rabbits too.
morning, we had to go to the bush
That's right.
get, before we went to school, we had to go and get food for the rabbits and bring it. So now you're bringing memories. This is fun. I need to get my brother on the show as well. So we are talking about a note to that. Today, if you're watching, is sit down and reflect and write down things that has your dad or a father figure has impacted in your life, and see if you're also passing it on to your children or people that are in your life and want to be mentored. Kwame, it was your granddad and your mother. What are some of the memories, apart from making sure that you were, you had good education and affirming you when you came over here? What is some of the traits that, as Basco has said, he made, because of who his father was to him, he's become the man that he is? What is some of the traits that you also experienced with your granddad?
Yeah, thank you, Nana, for the question. This is always I tell people, like, every time I wake up, as I previously said, whether his physical presence or his words, it keeps on playing in my head. Every time I wake up in the morning, like, it's like at least every single day, his voice has to play in my head of what he told me before. So, casting my memory back to around 2015, that was when I actually started my first job. So back in Ghana, he just a background of my granddad. He was a petrochemical engineer. He actually was he was an apprenticeship, and through that, he actually managed to actually get the training from petroleum companies like the British Petroleum Company, Exactly, all those big petrochemical companies that you know over here in Britain, because he worked with with the British companies back in Ghana. So he had got that kind of experience, and he wanted to instill those kind of training or those kind of traits within us. So I used to be the one who always wants to run away from that manual labor, because in the house he always tells us that, you know what, you need to actually end up being able to fix all the manual stuff at home, be it like fixing something to do with electricity, fixing something to do with everything, like sorting the home out. He believed that we have to do the manual labor as guys. So every Sunday, that will be the time, or Saturday, will come and wake you up. You have to go and do it. I used to run away from it, but one day he had an honest conversation with me. That was back in 2010. That we were doing some kind of manual labor at home, which we were expecting some laborers to come and do it. Though I was young, but he knew what he was teaching me. So whilst we were doing the work, he realized that we were tired, we were losing the momentum to continue. So he actually said one thing, which to date stays with me, is that I know you are tired. I know you want to give up on this thing you're doing. I may think it's not your job to do it. I know you know that someone's going to get paid to do it, but one day you're going to come back to this house, wherever you go in this world, will you come back to this house and you'll be proud of yourself that you were part of the people who helped to build this part of the project, which was like a septic tank in the house. So we had all this kind of stuff. Though we had no knowledge, but he was telling us what to do. So when he said that to me, it really took me some time to digest it. So when I came here and I was thinking, obviously I'm a student, I'm doing my studies and everything. So why should I go and work? But one certain situation I found myself in had me going out there to go and apply that kind of manual ethics that he gave me, thinking that education or my book is the thing that I would need in life to keep me going. But I realized that there are certain key skills I had to be able to use in order to get myself to where I want to be. So those key skills help me to be able to get so many jobs, which is the kind of jobs I do whilst I'm studying. It made me
Wow.
understand in life that no matter where you want to be, yes, you want to be like a doctor, be like a lawyer, you want to be like a pharmacist, but for you to become a pharmacist or for you to become a doctor, there are certain skills that you need to do. There are certain skills you need to be able to actually show. And maybe at that point in time, you might not actually have got the skills, but you need money, which at that time, that's what I needed. I needed money to support myself, my study, my part-time studies, but there was none. What should I do? I need to go out there, go find a job, and that job is not going to be dependent on my managing pharmacy or doctor for any time.
Yeah.
Based on the
So
skills
grandpa,
that I have, it's based on the motivation I have. So I went
yeah.
out there, and when I got the job,
So basically, grandpa, in a way, has
hello,
instilled that you have to
can
use
you hear
your
me now?
initiative. I'm saying so. Grandpa has helped you and instilled that use your initiative.
I
You
have
don't
to
have
use
to
that
wait.
initiative.
It's the same as Basco is saying. Basco, you have not
Yes.
told us about your on when you send me your bio, you are a property enthusiast. And I'm like, oh, all right. So I have a pharmacist, a soon to be pharmacist, and a property enthusiast. So talk me through that.
Right. Okay. I deal in properties as my side hustle. So I do invest in property. I manage clients' properties. So that's what I do on the side. And as I say I'm property enthusiast because I've only recently have come to appreciate what property can do for you. I've come to appreciate that property is an asset, and property can be it can be a tool to help you do whatever you want to do in life. So I'm looking into property, studying a lot about property and the many strategies there are. Yeah, and I like to advise my network, speak to my network about the benefits of looking at assets.
Oh, fantastic. Back home, your business hustle started from back home. So I'm not surprised that you have a portfolio of properties. Before I go to Kwame, Bosco has been a very young, hardworking man. Yes, seeing father instilled a lot of things to him. So as you used to go to tears and bring jeans and shirts and who got you into that? He used to get some nice jeans though. Like, those of you from Ghana, here we go to the charity. Is it the charity shops? Isn't it? We go to the charity shops. If you don't, if you're, some people are cautious, they might not know about charity shops, but there are charity shops here that people maybe they don't. Not all the charity shop clothes are being worn, but the clothes that they think they don't want to wear anymore, they take it to the charity shop and it's sold, and the money is used to help people as well. And it could be from babies to men to, and then some to build and ship to some part of the world.
Yeah.
So in Ghana, there was a place called TS, right?
Yes, TS, yeah. And
Yes.
Katamanto.
So those of you who know Cantonmanto, and those of you who used to go to the Falls Line, you go and get some nice outfits from there, especially those whose parents were in Europe or So Basco was a young, hustling guy. He was hardworking, so he used to go and select. Today, am I saying a lot? So Basco, how did you get this entrepreneurial? I know dad was there, but how young were you, or how old were you when you started that?
So when I started going to Katamanto to get clothes to sell, I was about 16, 17 years old.
Wow.
About 16, 17 years old. How I came about that was that growing up, I've always had passion for clothes. It was just second nature to me that whatever clothes you gave me, I'll be able to wear them, or put match colors. And I used to get a lot of compliments from friends. It got to a point where my friends will not actually go shopping without me going with them. So whenever I made a recommendation for them, that's exactly what they picked. And I one day thought, why don't I make a business out of this? But before then, there was a very good friend in the area. He was older than me, so I'll say a senior brother in the hood. And he once spoke about it. He said he's been looking for a job and it's not, it's difficult to come by a job. He's thinking maybe you should start visiting Katamanto to get clothes to sell. So that was a seed he sowed, in me. But fast forward, he had the opportunity to move from Ghana and migrate to France. So when the thought came, I was like, oh yes, this is what Patrick was talking about. Why don't I? So, I started going to Katamanto. I'll bring things, then I'll visit, homes of friends and then sell to them. And along the line, I thought, why don't I have my own shop? So I then, I built my own kiosk, as we call back home. And I asked Mom that if she could loan me money to venture into this business. So Mom kindly did. And then, yes, I kept going, and I got to a point where lawyers started visiting my shop because I used to sell smart shirts like what I'm wearing. So lawyers started visiting my shop. So for those clients, I actually, advise them if they could stay in their office, and that I will bring the clothes to them. So that's how it started.
Wow.
So did that. But even prior to that, Nana, it was just recently, as I've been studying about business, certain things I was doing back home, started coming back. Because at the age of 18, I actually put up an event. So that was 1995. I put up an event in Subin Valley, called Rap Fest. Called Rap Fest. We had amazing young people come. So it was a competition. People came, displayed their talents, and then we crowned the winner. And which is what today we're seeing in Ghana. With the musicians, with that sort of thing. So at the age of 18, I put together, or myself and a team, led by myself, to put together this event, and it was a success. But again, at the time, though I was doing it for fun, but I did not understand it to be business.
Because where we from those days, it wasn't we weren't told that if you were that young you could start a business. The businesses were for the big men, for the uncles and dads. But then when you come to this side of the world, we see young, I know children as young as 5 have their own businesses and they call them entrepreneurs. I'm like, this person is just 5 years old, so, but then thankfully it's coming back, and thankfully the truth is there. That is what has made us and shaping all of us. So we are grateful to God. Kojo says, shout out to you guys. Great show. So that is my brother, and I'm going to get him on the show so we talk about our dad. So let's bring Kwame back. Thank you so much, Basco. Kwame. And so you hear, the little businesses that I know Mom was into business as well, and you have your side hustle. And I know, Kwame's disappeared. Where he is, he's in Kent. And I know that the reception is very, very bad, but he said he was going to make it. So let's ring. Kwame, can you hear me? Kwame. He's frozen. He's in uni. So, well, if okay, I think he said he can hear me. You can hear me. Fantastic. Apart from your side hustle, here most of the children are not, maybe because fathers are not home. So what do you think? We've seen, let me come fast forward a bit. We've seen boys. I don't know whether you've seen these videos, like the past week, we've seen these young boys killing. This stabbing has started again. And most of the time, fathers are not home. What is it, as a young man studying, what do you think is wrong? What is it? Tell me, what is it? Kwame is frozen again. What's good? Looks like it's going to be you and I. Okay, so tell me what is it with the young men that are here in the UK?
Yeah, I think, Nana, if I could use myself as an example.
Yes.
And even you, because where we grew up, it was rough. It was really rough. I look at areas like, the Peckham and all the, the Hackney and all of that. I don't think they were, or they're anywhere close to where we grew up, if you agree with me. you know, where robbery was going on, remember, these two guys, some went into, became armed robbers and they were killing left, right, center, but I think what kept some of us away from that was the role model, or or the father figure we had at home, especially with guys. And I would say, I mean, if I'm to use my household as an example, whenever my dad was out, myself and my siblings, we will get away with murder. Okay, so things dad doesn't want us to do, we will do. Okay, because moms will be, that your dad has been warning you about this and that, but we'll ignore and carry on. There's something about boys where we love our moms, but we don't have that fear for our moms. My dad only needs to walk into the house and the whole conversation will change. He wouldn't utter a word, if that makes sense, because he also instilled in us discipline, discipline. He was there for us. He provided our needs, he was guiding us. But discipline, whenever we needed to be disciplined, he disciplined us. So I'm thinking, I think sometimes it's the absence of fathers, but not to say that is the sole problem, because I think sometimes it's a lack of opportunities. You see, we had a father who was so dedicated to make sure we were in school, we were attending extra classes, we were farming during rainy season. And now when I say we were farming, someone in Tema, someone may assume that, it was, allotment. I'm not
No, I know.
I'm not talking about allotment. We were farming acres of land. Okay, so we will go to, like rainy season, you go to farm, we'll probably report around 7 a.m. Okay, and we'll farm till about 12:1.
Or 3 to 3.
And have lunch. Okay, have lunch, and then we'll carry on again till about 3. Okay, and a proper northern setup, that sort of thing. So we were so,
and with the heat as well, it was very hot.
Yes. So he got us so busy that you had less or little time for worthless stuff. That's not to say we never ventured into some of these things. We did. But the fact that we had our dad in our lives, that made a huge difference. I can imagine if he wasn't there and we were just left with our moms, would have got, especially the boys. Most of my brothers were good, but myself and
your younger brother, you were bad. Thank God for Jesus. Thank God for Jesus. Thank God for Jesus.
Amen.
I mean, my dad was, as I said, he was strict, bless his heart. And my brother and I think, and you know what? In my area, in the area that we grew around Rasamine, and most of them are dead, and most of them, just about 1 or 2 that are out of the area or traveled. And then I think I bumped into one or I think 2 of them who are in London here, and some of them are here. But especially with my brother, those people that he grew up with. And everybody was our house that we all played, because my dad will go and it was the 2 of us, and we went to Shields Experimental. Well, I had the opportunity to go to a posh school in a way. Yes, sure. So if you're in Community 2, you know where Shields is. But
that's right.
Woe unto us if my dad came home. And I still remember up to this day, and my brother would testify. We used to play all the games, Kwani and Pilolo and Police and Thief and all the games. And we will have like 10, 15 kids at home in the house, and somebody would just have to shout
Yeah.
at, well, when I was growing up, they call me Mama, and my brother is Kojo. Kojo had him on purpose, so go check him out on Facebook. Now, thanks be to God, he's also a pastor. He's married to an apostle. Bless them.
Right. That's right.
Woe unto us when somebody shouted, "Your dad is coming," and this is like very, he would. The shout is like an announcement. Those who had to jump walls were jumping walls. Those who, and one day I remember a friend of us got stuck under a bed because nobody wonders, and my dad appeared. But we have grown up to be great people, and that has shaped us. My brother is doing so well in his travel business. And if it had not been for the strictness, because as you said, there was a bar, there was an apeteshi bar. And when I say apeteshi bar, it's the extra O of vodka, the rum. Even if it's harsher than rum. And this was just at our doorstep that people were drinking. And the last time I went home, some of them are still sitting under the trees and playing the same games from when I was a little girl over there, and he's still there. If my dad had not been the man that he was then, that we thought he was so strict that he had a gun and a machete under the bed, and woe unto you as a boy coming to look for Nana. He will kill you. Then I did not understand. But now we understand. We understand that, else I would have ended up having more babies, because most of the girls were having most of the girls, have children without fathers and all sorts. But thank God for Jesus. So, our fathers play a lot. They have played a lot of roles in their lives. And today we are saying, if you're a father out there and you have walked away from your children because of things that maybe as we go along we'll be sharing, and the next Sundays to come we'll be talking to more fathers. It is so important because we see these boys, and as Basco has said, the father, the strictness, sometimes they don't even have to say open their mouth, the eyes alone, the presence alone, and sometimes the joy of it, because if the father was there and there is football, or there's even those times our fathers weren't coming to play football, but they will push you. We didn't have conversations like now we have conversations with our children. But I'm thankful that my dad took us out, because it was just the two, me and my brother and him. We would sit at the table and we would eat together. He taught me how to cook. So when I got married, my first soup was interesting because I was cooking daddy's way. And so it's very important that we acknowledge our parents today. Somebody was saying, Nana, you have no idea. We all have been through hell and back, but we made it. So let's pray that our fathers are those that are alive, those that relationship is repairable, those that you think you've missed out. It's never too late. Please come back to your children's lives. Let's see if Kwame, are you okay now?
I'm back. Sorry.
It's okay. Kwame, I know we were talking about the youth in the United Kingdom.
Yes.
And you and I were having a conversation where you said your dad wanted to come back and you didn't want to know. I want you to share the hurts of why you didn't want your dad to come back, and maybe in a way, I'm thankful that you have turned out to be great. But there's some of the Ghanaian boys who haven't. 2 weeks ago they killed another Ghanaian boy, and it's so sad. So tell me what is going through you mentally that you think you resist your father's love.
Yeah, thank you, Nana, for touching on that. I know it's a very delicate kind of issue, but
Yeah.
I'll just share a brief summary of it for the sake of your viewers and for you as well.
Mm.
Um, to me personally, the reason why I did that was because I believe the time that I needed him most, honestly speaking, he actually abandoned those kind of responsibilities. And it's a thing whereby at this point in time, whereby by God's grace, I've gone through all those phases. To me, I felt like it was God trying to actually teach me something because sometimes when we have everything in life, sometimes we wouldn't actually see the worth of it. But when you are actually lacking certain part of your life, or when you are, you know, it actually opens your eyes. It helps you to actually appreciate every little opportunity. And thank God that when that part of me was actually lacking, it was not like I didn't get certain people to actually fill the shoes. You know, God actually made me get closer to my granddad. For him to actually teach me certain stuff that I believe I wouldn't have learned. Unfortunately, there might be some young people like myself who couldn't get that kind of father figure to be able to straighten them, for them to be able to help them to correct their mistakes whilst they were growing up, and it has got out of hand, which they wish that at this point in time, even that they are even adults, they wish someone can draw them closer to actually mentor them or even point out to them that it's not too late. But unfortunately for them, they think it's too late and it has got a bit wayward. But for me personally, I believe that it will still be there. You will still actually always be thinking of, but I always take it from a positive limelight that, you know, though he did that to me, it is something that I actually see it as a way of not actually doing that to someone, but rather learn from it, learn from those kind of stuff. Because if I'm supposed to actually like clinch on this and make excuses that, oh, my dad wasn't there for me, henceforth me growing up, my I'm also going to do that to my kids. That would be so wrong. So that has taught me that I could also turn things around to actually end up supporting, by God's grace, my kids, be there for
And
them, able to learn from this, because I've heard like the different versions of the story. But thank God that my mom never hid the truth from me. She never hid it from me. She told me the truth of her side. She told me the truth. She told me exactly what happened at that particular point in time, and I'm grateful for it because if I didn't hear it, I would have thought differently. I would have actually acted in the act of revenge. But to me, in my heart, there's no revenge. It's all about forgiveness. It's all about learning because if I'm here to actually point accusing fingers at him or anyone else, I could tend to also make the same kind of error. Where are we learning or where are we going? So I actually dedicate myself as no matter the experience I've gone through, God brought father figures to me to show me how it should be done the right way, and I should be able to pass it on to my kids and the generations to come. That I shouldn't let my situation or I shouldn't let my experience to give other people a better experience. I should make them help have a better experience from my better experience that I actually had. So to me, it
wow.
opened ways. And as a young person, I will always think about it. It's something that I can never erase. It can never be like be erased, or it can never be swept under the carpet. But the fact is that I can always grow out of it. I can always see life from a different perspective. That this is how I wanted to be treated. This is how I wanted to be brought up. Henceforth, I need to bring up my kids in that certain kind of way.
Thank you, Kwame. I am so thankful that you're sharing that because research has shown that father absence usually has a negative impact on children and adolescents, but you have proven that sometimes it's the opposite. And I've met about a couple of young men that I've interviewed as well who have turned their lives around and are doing brilliant in business and studies and all that. So not all of them, but it's so important that, of course, you had your grandfather to play that father figure role, and someone Bosco, you traveled, after doing so well, and you came to the UK, you studied, you're in IT, you're doing properties. Now you're a father yourself. When you came here, who was your role model? And who did you look up to that has also enhanced the things that you're doing?
Right. That's a very, very good question. I must admit, because of the attributes I learned from my parents when I moved over here, I think my approach to things were completely different. So when I first came, I think the trend at the time was, young guys had mini disc man.
Oh, the disc man.
Yeah, the disc man.
Walkman or this man? It was a Walkman, isn't it?
No, it was the mini disc.
Oh,
You
that's
know,
okay.
and guys of my age who had also moved over at the time. People had their own. They had their own room, probably renting one room. Had all the gadgets. Ghetto blaster, television, had the MTV base, all these stuff. Okay, but for me, one of the common saying of my dad was that whilst he was working as a watchman, whenever he went to his workplace, he saw his boss, his boss's children drive around in their parents' cars and all of that. Okay, but dad used to say, "My children, I do not own a car. I can't afford a car. What I have, you should also be proud of. What I have is the sheep. Take them out to graze. Okay, what I have is the farm. Go and farm so that at harvest time, we'll have, we'll have food to
Yeah.
eat." So that taught me to be content. That when I moved over, I wasn't following the trend, and personally, I've never been that way. Yeah. So I never followed the crowd, but because I knew that my dad's sole aim and his vision was for all of us to attain at least a degree. I never had the opportunity back home to attain a degree. Because of the channel I took, I went through the technical channel after junior high. I went to, Tema Technical Institute. Okay. But at the time, the education system was a bit, the way it was structured, it wasn't favoring the technical students. Hence I branched into, with the advice from my two elderly brothers who were at the time were in university, advised to, for me to go into IT. But though I went into IT back home, but there wasn't even clear cut for me to go to university to attain a degree. So when I had the opportunity to visit UK, the only thing that kept, ringing in my head was, actually, I studied the education system here, and I realized, I could attain my degree, which will make my dad proud, because this is his vision, is to ensure all his kids go up to at least, university level. So all I was seeing was to attain my degree. Everything else didn't matter. Whether someone who loves to look good, how I looked at the time didn't matter. All that mattered was for me to attain my degree, so I'll make my dad proud. So I didn't follow the crowd. It was tough. It was really tough, but I had a clear vision. To and then to say, I wasn't fortunate. I wasn't fortunate to relocate to live with an auntie or uncle or aunt.
You came on your own.
And man, I've been homeless in this country. Okay, because the friend that took me in, a blessing, he was renting at the time and was renting, and the landlady was living there as well. So the landlady gave him an eviction notice to say, you can't have a second person. So essentially, I had to move out. I moved out. I had nowhere to live. But so I was homeless.
I'm laughing. I'm not laughing. I'm just, it's like everybody has a story. Everyone has a story.
But
yes,
but again, because of what my dad had instilled in us, the desire, and the thirst to attain a degree, was so strong that nothing will, could stray me away. And,
wow.
and by the grace of God, through that, I met a wonderful brother I've known back home, Pastor George. I don't know if you know him. He's also a man, who took me to TGM and became like a brother, like a mentor to me. And thank God, when I joined TGM, my Bishop Mike, with the teachings, with the message on faith. So even whenever I was down, I held on to the word of God, and God being so good, we've come this far.
Amen. Shout out to the GTM family and to Bishop Mike Edwesi. I mean, he's one great man of God, and his messages on faith is unbelievable. So we've been blessed by his teachings as well. Kwame, you haven't been homeless. You haven't tasted the homeless the homeless life.
I have, my family in a higher heart.
In this country?
In this country.
Really? Okay, tell me. What do you
so this is actually something I've never been shared before.
Okay,
so
you see, we get exclusives. So
so back in 2015,
my producer, I've been given the next 20 to 30 minutes. So we have to be rounding up. Yeah. I'm so enjoying it. I've lost
track of time. So back in 2015, our landlord was actually acting a bit like he was actually giving us signs, but we didn't know what was going to happen. So I was in school and I got a text message from my mom that we need to leave school as soon as possible. I didn't know why. So I stepped out of my lesson and I called her. So when I called her, she told me that we need to leave. We need to leave school and come and help pack our stuff as soon as possible. So I was stranded because I was preparing for my exam at that time, and it's a lesson. I cannot just walk out and tell my teacher that I've been called home. So I waited a little bit, not knowing my mom has also called my younger brother to give the same message. So it was my younger brother who acted by panicking, and he went to tell his line master that he has received a phone call from home that we need to leave home. We need to leave school, to come home as soon as possible. So he came to approach me to confirm if it was true. And I told him that yes, it was true. So he is the one who arranged it to tell me that, it's fine, they understand. So I should go home to go and help out. So they gave us assurance that we need to start actually, we need to let the school know the outcome of it. So when that happened, we had nowhere to go. Honestly speaking, we had absolutely nowhere to go. We went to the council. The council, like, they can't help us out. I contacted other people I know in terms of working within, I don't want to put the borough out there, but in terms of working in that borough that we were leaving, the person said that no, that's not how it works. So we had no option than to start calling our family and friends. So thank God my mom called one of her friends. I was like, okay, no worries, I'm ready to take you guys. So we stayed with the person if I'm right, for about 3 or 5 days. So it was a short period of time. Then thank God the council responded to us. But the process that we have to go through, Nana, is something I wish I had a video to share it with you. Every single day after school, my brothers and I, my mom has to gather us. We go to the council, we go to the housing agency to cry on their shoulders that we have got nowhere to go. So they have to help us out. They have to definitely help us out. So I can actually relate with what Basco is saying to a certain degree, because homelessness in this country, in UK, is something you can never joke with. You can become the same person today, tomorrow you've lost your sanity because you've got nowhere to sleep. And if you haven't got anywhere to sleep, how is your body going to function? So it's
Well,
a feeling there that is real.
okay. One of these days, I will call all of you. We go and sleep on the Oxford streets for a
Definitely.
day. And then you write your story.
Yeah.
So you're thankful to God and
Yeah.
grateful to God that where we're coming from. I mean, now you should see the mansion that Basco lives in. Now you should see where Kwame lives. Now you should see where I live. It is definitely the grace of God and the mindset. God gives us grace, but the willingness for you to succeed, the willingness for you to learn is up to you. The responsibility, because we can all say that, and especially coming to this country. And I like what Basco said, that he was content and he had a vision, and it's so important that most of us come here. And it's true, we can all, and I can testify that people who came, the early ages and early years, who still are what they are. Some people would say is somebody said today, I would say it in tree, if you are before, is the witches back home that followed them to the UK. And then there are some too that with the zeal, because I am thankful that because of what I do, guys, I've met people from the Asian background, people from the Greeks, the Greek families. I think the only the only communities I don't have friends in is the Jewish community. So I'm working my way through, because I want to know why certain races and certain communities are thriving and certain communities are not thriving. And just on Monday, I met this Asian ex-banker. He's an ex-banker. He's called Babu. So he'll be watching. So I say, Babu, I'm going to give you a shout out. He and the wife celebrated 58 years of marriage. And I'm also doing the marriage research. So I was asking how they've been together for all these years, and another thing that I learned from them, the Asian communities, how they all stick together. And they said at one point they had 15 people living in the same house. So brothers and their wives and their children and all that. And these are some of the things that Babu shared, if to round this up. But I think you guys have to come back and we continue this conversation. But I want to chip it in. He's a father as well. And I asked him, I said, why are we seeing all these kids and stuff happening? He said, Nana, well, number one is the news, but I've always been here. He said, as a father, I've always been there, So there are fathers who are there but not there, if you know what I mean. Basco, you're a father. Are you there as a good father or a good husband? There's a different the role a father plays. You are a husband and a father, but it's two different roles. But sometimes I think, I don't know, we get it confused. And so he said, I've been there as a good father, and so this morning when I said, it's not the gadgets that we are buying for the kids, or it's not, the toys and stuff, but it's is the being there. And I see my commander, my husband, being there, sitting with the kids at the table and just not being asked, but just listening to them and being there. Are you there? How are you there for the kids, Basco?
Thank you very much, Nana. So what what I'm doing is to pass on the quality and the very important attributes I learned from my dad, passing them on to my kids. Areas that I made mistakes, ensuring they do not repeat the same mistakes. So I share, we have conversation, I share, my life story with them, I take them out.
How old are they, by the way?
So I've got 14, 7, and 3.
Oh, okay.
Again, in the area of education, we're doing our very best. In the area of, directing them to Christ, we're doing our very best. Sitting with them, taking them out, and as you said, spending quality time with them. Yes, as you attest, yes, love. We have to demonstrate love. Yes, we may buy them toys, we may buy them, which we do, but for me, those are not the sole. They're not the sole things we have to focus on, because again, I don't want my kids to know that I want them to learn to work for something. Okay, to work for something. As Nana, you attest, where we grew up, those that had affluence probably passed on to their kids and it messed them up, because the kids were not given proper guidance. So myself and my better half, we were trying our possible best. Would I say I'm the great dad? Probably I'm not the right person to tell. My children will tell. My dad has never said he's a great dad, but we see him to be a great dad. We see him to be a visionary. We see him to be an amazing, great man.
They say that our children, we leave a legacy for our children, and our children are our wealth. And in bringing this conversation up is also making me see a lot of the things that, yes, some people, the fathers are there and they messed up. Some people, the fathers are not there, but they become great children. I mean, so but the percentage is not equal, is high. So we are talking to the fathers. So if you're a pastor listening, and if you're a community leader listening, we need to have more conversations. I know Maxed Men, next on the 19th of June, I am moderating a conversation of separation and divorce, in the families, and how it's affecting migrants men. And Max Men is out there, helping the community to get the migrants men and getting conversations going. So it's super important that we have these conversations, because if we see something on the rise, it's us that have to, when the pandemic goes, so we have to be the frontliners. Where are our frontliners for fathers? Where are our frontliners for, so it's a pandemic, because as a mother, it's very worrying and sickening to see young men chasing another young man. This is not even, this is 14, a 14-year-old and a 15-year-old can kill another human being. It's worrying, isn't it, Basco? Isn't it, Kwame? It is worrying. So we are asking that, we should rise up and do something in our communities. Another thing that Babu shared that, fathers ought to do. He has 2 amazing daughters. He didn't have but he has grandsons, and he one is a chartered accountant, and the other is an engineer, the ladies. And he said, Nana, if make time to travel and see, because when you are not exposed, another thing is, when we are not exposed and we sit in our own, we come from Ghana and we go to Ghana. We come from Ghana and go to Ghana. We are not exposed. Their cultures, their learn. You talked about education. Even if you're not traveling I love traveling. And it was something that I got from my dad, because another thing is that my dad he naturalized as a French. So we were forced to learn French. But then when the French teacher came, myself and Kojo were hiding. We always said we are sick. Now I regret. I can speak a little bit of French, but now I regret. We that are here, just on Friday, I told someone, I said, you are in London, you are in United Kingdom. People queue back home to get visa to come and see Big Ben and see, which is the other one, the the tower, the London Eye.
Yeah.
Go to London Bridge, go to Oxford Circus, and we live here and we don't go anywhere. So Bible said, when you go outside your comfort zone, you learn, you are exposed, and then you teach your children. Because when people are exposed to certain things, the way they behave is different. And when people are not exposed, they're not different. Kwame, you have been exposed a little bit. I know you've hung around MPs. How has that impacted your life?
Exposure is a really great thing that I believe every single person should actually have. Though with me, when it comes to exposure, it's a very big thing in my life, because on my bio it says that I'm actually a pharmacy student, but I don't only restrict myself only in pharmacy. I make sure that I expose myself to other branches in life, other fields in life, such as, let's say, property, such as, let's say, business, which a time came which I'm still doing it. I was also the chairman of a youth parliament in Enfield. That's my borough. So my exposure actually helped me to understand certain stuff within the community. Although my field, I want to be in the science field, but at the same time, I want to also help and build my community. So most often, 99% of the time, when people meet me, they misjudge me to be like I'm a politician or something. So when I say that I'm studying pharmacy, they get taken aback. They always tell me that you are in the wrong field, but God purposely knows why He's actually put me in that particular field. For every field to thrive, you need certain skills that will help people to be able to interconnect. So for me, my exposure in politics a little bit, my exposure in, let's say, business a little, because I'm coming from a business home, my exposure in, let's say, in religion helps me to be able to engage myself in certain communication with every single person I come across. And I don't remember meeting someone new and I've not been able to hold a conversation with a person, like, let's say, more than 30 minutes. It's because my exposure has given me a little bit of knowledge of every single field, that I'm always ready to learn from that particular person and also exchange information from that particular person. Henceforth, most often I might think that I'm actually having just a mere conversation, but by the time I've left the conversation, I've been able to educate myself with new stuff I've never
Yeah,
actually. Because
fantastic.
human being, I'm
Mm,
actually a student of life.
mm,
I'm open to learn new stuff, because since we are alive, not only reading, because hardly do I've got books that I read, but my course do not allow me to actually read a lot. So most often you find me engaged in conversation, to listen to people, to also exchange information, to watch documentaries, to watch interviews, so that I am able to always keep myself abreast with new stuff, with new information. Like, for example, Nana talking about the 14-year-old who was chased on Hyde Park. I wouldn't have known about it if my feed did not actually give me the opportunity, because that whole week I was really, really busy with work. So I had the chance to actually watch what exactly happened on YouTube. That helped me to expose myself to what exactly the current update of youth crime in London is. And for that to happen on such a prestigious area, it makes me aware that London is not safe. So many areas that we thought of being prestigious, it's not as safe as we think. Hence, we need to actually narrow it down to what can we do to actually help the young people. That brings my exposure into youth politics that I did 6 years ago. It gives me that kind of thing to add my voice to how we can devise ways and means, which one of the number one prime factors, which Nana couldn't get opportunity to share with you because of my network problems, is the cut down of youth services. I
Yeah.
got into youth politics because Enfield had an amazing youth center. You know, one of my key friends who till date we are still in touch, Giles. I saw Giles standing on platforms. So one day when we were coming home, I've never spoken to him before. I approached him on the bus. I'm like, I've seen you doing all these kind of amazing stuff because that is Giles's field. I told him that I want to also join. What can you do? What can I do to actually get myself involved? And that was the key that opened my door into youth politics. And to date, he sees me doing all these kind of stuff. So for him to
Mm.
expose me to his field, it has given me a voice or something innate within me that I never knew to also add my voice to youth politics, which I
Thank,
believe is a big
mm,
fight that we have to. So it's a very big thing that we have to do as exposure.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank you. Yeah, Giles and I were supposed to have a conversation on IG Live, but due to one or two, we have to reschedule.
Oh,
Bosco, as we run up, what has exposure done for you, and what do you think can be implemented in our community, especially for the youth?
Yeah, I think exposure is very crucial for the development of each and every one. So Nana, for me, even to have the opportunity to travel here, because of a friend, okay, because he moved from Community 2 to Sakumono Estate, so he was exposed to a different group of friends. So
Friends.
the conversation there was completely different. And as where we grew up, the only way we knew to leave the shores of Ghana was via stowaway, because that was that was the knowledge, and that's how some guys managed to get to Europe, and some perished their life along the way. But this friend, with exposure to different group of people, was able to educate me as in how we could go about things. Exposure is very important. Why? I think we shouldn't be trapped in our little box. We should branch out. So for me, I work. Though I work in IT, I work in legal. And what I do, I tend to hold conversation with, work colleagues, senior partners, associates, secretaries, other support staff. I like to break out of my community and like my neighbors. I speak to, anybody to hold conversation, because what you want to do, you want to understand, the different mindsets of certain communities and certain people, and we shouldn't lose sight of continuous learning. One of the things that I've embraced lately is personal development. So I'm always reading on personal development stuff, and that has opened my mind to so many things, as I said earlier. Though I did some stuff, when I was a teenager, I couldn't see them as business because of my exposure, because I was limited, but with the stuff I've learned today, it makes me, it's opened my eyes, I've had several light bulb moments, and wow. Oh, so even this that I was back on, I was on back home, I could have really created something out of it. So, Nana, for me, at the moment, my present desire is that the little I've learned, okay, I pass it on to people around me, anyone I meet. You know, last time I visited back home, you know, a barber in my area, you know, was talking about how he wants to, you know, leave Ghana and all of that. You know, but with the little exposure, I was able to educate him to say, listen, you've got a business. Only if you can structure, you know, you can restructure, brand yourself properly. You know, you'll be in for the win. And then we had this conversation not long when I came back. He dropped me a message saying, brother, this is what I'm doing. I'm rebranding. And lo and behold, just last week, he sent me a video of him barbering Kwesiata, the Ghanaian musician.
Wow.
You know,
Wow.
so exposure does a lot. And, you know, we limit ourselves. You know, our limitation is just in the mind.
It's the mind.
It is just in the mind. And because we're not open to fresh ideas, to reading, to seeking knowledge from, you know, people who, if you see somebody who's gotten to a certain level that you admire, approach them, you know, ask them how they got there, you know, and that sort of thing. So exposure is crucial. You know, we're not limited. We're not limited in our small box. Last time when I went to Ghana, I actually went to Kwewu and all these places. And I'm like, wow, Ghana is so beautiful. You see, when we were growing up, we were trapped in Tema. Oh, Lord, oh, Ghana is Tema. Yes, Tema, yeah.
The Yoko Gary.
Ghana is bigger than Tema.
I tell you, it's fun, you know. We talking serious stuff, but I always want to, you know, relax a bit because I mean, in the mornings we would I mean, when some people we come here, especially my kids when they have the baked beans. I said, look, baked beans was Christmas, you know. chicken was Christmas, you know.
Christmas.
And my favorite was the Gary and beans. So where Bosco used to live, there was this woman, bless her. I mean, I want us to laugh to end. And you should see the queue. We go and buy the Yoko Gary. So those of you, there's the Gary and beans and red oil all mixed up, and then they put it in the nice leaves for you with fried plantain. If you have money, you can get fried plantain, and you eat it for the rest of the day because you'll be so full. You will drink water throughout the day. But we thought out of the box, as Bosco is saying. We came here and we didn't, you know, say, you know, and it's still, so we're talking to our brothers and sisters who are still in the box. We live in the United Kingdom. The United Kingdom. You know, what is your United Kingdom? Don't let me bring my motivational self here. We haven't motivation, you know, and this exposure will help our children. So this evening, as we round up and we've learned from this wonderful gentleman about fatherhood, about our note to our dads, about how our fathers and our grandfather has impacted us. In your own way, sit down and see how your father has impacted you, and maybe you want to thank him. You don't want to wait till he's dead and gone. For me, I want to tell people whilst they are alive, you know, how they have impacted my life. Yes, you will say, oh, their father is gone and I've kicked him out, or but that is why forgiveness is important. You know, if we all add our voice, and as Kwame has said, that maybe when we add our voice together, things can change. The vaccine that we can give to this pandemic of young boys stabbing and killing is to bring community centers back or youth centers back. There is a voice. Things can happen. People have money sitting down, they don't know what to use with their money. We can do something together. We can bring fathers together. As I said, Max Men is doing Shout out to Maxman and all the Nana Cheche show, Nana Cheche Foundation. We've started a conversation called A Note to Dad. So shout out to all charities who are helping fathers, who are helping children with absent fathers, who are helping mothers doing their best. A huge shout out to thank you to you all. But you and I can also add our voice. We pray. Yes, of course, prayer is number one. No doubt about it. One of the things that it's on my vision board is that I'm praying that Bibles should be brought back to schools, because it's the absence of God, the Father Himself, in society, in schools, that is also creating this pandemic. So let's join our voices together and let's bring hope to our young men who are missing their fathers. And let's bring hope to fathers who are yearning to see their children, but one way or the other, their mothers are blocking them. And let's bring healing to these boys, because some of them, it is not because they want to kill, it is not because they want to be truant, or it is a cry for help. It is a cry for love. It is a cry that somebody would tell them, you are special and you can do something. Guys, I can't thank you enough. I know you're coming back, Basco and Kwame. I can't thank you enough. Basco, what is your final word and where can we find you?
Right. So I can be, located on all the social media platforms. So on Instagram, Basco Abor, or one word. On Facebook, I'm Basco Nsobila Abor. Yes. Please reach out. Especially young people. Reach out. If you need someone to talk to. If you feel you're lacking opportunities, you feel you're from less privileged background, reach out. Let's have a conversation. We've come from that kind of background, and the Lord has been good to bring us where we are. If there's any a desire, if there's anything my heart pants for, is to help young people, is to help the young generation to see light at the end of the tunnel, to say all is not lost. Yes, you may not be well educated. Yes, you may not be coming from affluence, but Lord, God has a plan for you. And there's so much you can do with your life.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And Kwame, what do you want to add and where can we find you?
So you can find me right now on 2 social media platforms. You can find me on Instagram at BIGQUAMMY, which is at Big Kwame. It's one word. And you can find me on LinkedIn with my name that I've actually shown on the screen right now, Kwame Osei Owusu. My last words I would like to share with the viewers, especially to every young person who's listening to Nana Cheche's show, is that just continue fighting, continue being inspired on your goals. Just keep your eyes fixated on your goals. There is no quick way to actually get your dreams to come true. It's all about including God on your journey. It's all about fighting and also finding what especially your purpose in this world is all about, because finding your purpose is the most liberating way for you to be able to achieve your purpose. Don't look at what other people are doing. Just focus on yourself. Focus on your vision. Don't let social media fool you. As everybody says, it's true. Some people will not be sharing their pain, or they might not be sharing their journey truly with you. But every single person has got your story. Let your story inspire you, and let other people what they were doing, and you inspire to be like them. Just approach them, ask them how they manage to do it, and by God's grace, they'll be able to tell you the truth behind their successful story, and you are also going to be a success as well.
Thank you so much, Kwame. I really appreciate you. Guys, I appreciate your time. Thank you. Hopefully you come back and share more. Thank you. Greetings to your wife and the kids, and Kwame, greetings to
I
mom and the rest of the family.
I will
Thank you.
let them know. Thank you very
Thank
much,
you, Nana.
Nana. And
I'll let them
wonderful
know.
meeting you, Kwame.
Thank you. God bless.
God
Thank
bless.
you. Thank you.
So that is it for tonight. I hope you had a wonderful time. And so, as I said, we're reaching out to dads and we're praying. We're praying that this conversation will start other conversations and will bring healing to our boys, to our daughters, and to our fathers and to our mothers and families will be whole. That is my aim, and I pray that it's going to be achieved. Thank you. Till I come your way next Sunday with another wonderful set of gentlemen sharing their fatherhood journey. Have a wonderful week and always know that you belong at the top. Make sure you subscribe to Nana Cheche Show on YouTube. God bless you and bye bye.